Now listen, there's a party going on with the king and all of his dudes, and they're all having fun. Except for this monster named Grendel, who's like, oh gosh, oh golly, my ears can't handle these banging tunes. I guess I could ask them to shut up or something, but I got me a better idea. So he goes up while all the guys are snoozing and eats 30 dudes. Then he's like, oh wow, blood is great, I love murder. And he keeps hunting everyone down. The king of the Danes is all like, oh no, my dudes, they're like my best friends. And he cries and he gets all sad. And across the sea, Beowulf, Prince of Geats, is like, oh bro, that's totally lame. I'm gonna go fix the problem because I'm so strong and cool and buff. He gets a bunch of his men on a boat and he goes on over. He goes to the king and he's like, hey dude, I heard about what happened. That's not cool. And he's like, oh, what up? And he's like, oh, nothing much. I heard about Grendel. I can beat him up. I'm real strong. And he's like, oh, I know, man. You're the best, bro. Bro. They have fun for a while before Beowulf decides that he's going to defeat Grendel empty-handed because he's just cool like that. You just got to deal with how cool he is. So Beowulf decides to wait for Grendel in the middle of the night. And he also decides to fight him alone and empty-handed because he's so buff. And Grendel comes up to kill more, but Beowulf just rips off his arm like a cool dude he is, bare-handed with no weapons. And then Grendel's like, hey, dude, that's not cool. I'm going to go tell my mom on you. And he's like, yeah, go do it, you wimp. So the king is like, oh, Beowulf, that's really cool of you to do. That's so cool. I'm going to give you all this treasure, and you're the best. We're going to throw you a party. But uh-oh, Mama Grendel mad, so Beowulf goes to beat her up too. First, though, he asks the king to do some favors for him if he dies. But he's Beowulf. He's too buff to die. Look at this funky little man. Look at him go. So Beowulf dives into this lake where Mama lives and basically just kind of rips her head off and wins because he's just so cool like that. He also finds the corpse of regular Grendel and cuts his head off so he can take it home to show all the dudes. He swims back up, shows the king what he won, and the king is all like, dude, that's really cool, dude. He's like, I know, but that was like really difficult, and I legit actually had trouble this time with Mama Grendel because Mama Grendel almost killed Beowulf, and the only thing that saved him was that there was, for some reason, another sword down in the lair that could kill Mama Grendel. But we're not going to talk about the convenience of that because it's a cool story. So Beowulf goes back home and basically becomes king. He becomes king of Geats instead of prince of Geats like he used to be. Not only that, but a couple years pass and now he's like this old withery man. But even though he's old and kingly, he's like, hey, you know what? There's like this dragon dude who's been tormenting all of us and tormenting my people. But guess what? I killed Grendel and Mama Grendel on my own. I killed Grendel with no weapons at all and Mama Grendel with a sword I found. So I think I can take this freaking dragon menace. So Beowulf takes his men on up to this volcano where the dragon is. Basically he's like, hey dude, I'm gonna beat you up. But I guess Beowulf wasn't as buff as an old man. Either that or the dragon was just too much. Because it kind of destroys him. And Beowulf is like down on the ground, like dying and burning alive. Meanwhile, over with the men, who I still have in a boat, but they probably weren't in a boat on a volcano. Beowulf's men are just kind of watching this happen. And they're like, oh dude, our king is dying. I mean, we could go help him. But how about we just like not? And the only person who's like, hey, no, I love my king, he's the best, is Wiglaf, this little guy. And then he's like, hey, I'm going to go actually help our king, because those cowards ain't gonna. So he goes next to Beowulf, who is still dying, against this dragon, and together they kill the dragon. Like, they really, really kill him. And now Wiglaf is a hero too. But Beowulf, he's like really, really wounded. So he dies. And Wiglaf is like, oh gosh, you were a great king, you were a great hero. And then all the men come back. But Wiglaf is like, no, guys, you guys dishonored our king. We're gonna burn him at a pyre. So they burn him on a huge tower in honor of Beowulf. And that's the legend of Beowulf.